Hey guys, it's Jimmy with my son Peter. I've talked about him on a few other videos on this channel, and now you get to meet him. I'll ask him a few questions, and you'll get to hear what he has to say for himself. Starting with, when did you know you were trans? When did you come out to yourself?
Probably about when I was 16. I don't remember specifically like having a moment when I thought to myself, oh, I must be trans, but I end up keeping track of the time by the fact that I was keeping a live journal, and so in like March or April after I turned 16, I made some post where I said, you know, I think I might be trans, and that's why I've been, you know, having all the problems that I have, and that was the first time I actually used the word transgender, but there was some post I made in like October of 2005 when I said something like, oh, I'd give anything to be a boy. So that's about when I came out to myself and started thinking of myself as being trans.
Yeah, and what's interesting to me is where in the culture do you learn the word trans or the concept trans? What?
Yeah,
had you seen it on TV?
See,
or
I don't know. I don't know where I got
somewhere?
it. I think I must have looked it up online at some point, but I don't know when the word actually occurred to me. I mean, like, if there was a point when I found something or came across something online, or if I went looking for, like, gender problems, if I searched for anything, I have no idea how I found it. But
and then the time between when you came out to yourself and that you came out to us, your mom and me. How long was that?
Like a year, because I came out to Mom first, and then she came out to everyone else for me. So yeah, almost exactly a year after I started coming out to myself, I think.
Do you think she did that pretty quick? I know she came upstairs from your room and told me, like, within minutes, but how long do you think it took for her to start telling the story to other people?
Oh, I don't know. I was hardly paying attention because it wasn't really on my mind as something that I wanted to do or that I needed to do, of like, oh man, I've got to come out to all these extended family people, jeez. So I wasn't thinking about it, and I just remember over the course of probably some months that she would say something like, oh, your dad told his brother, or I told my sister, and I'd be like, okay.
Yeah. I posted a video on this channel about how my brother, your uncle, learned about it and his first reaction, and well, anyway, it's in the other video what his reaction was, but you got to see Chad again.
Yeah.
Last week, after now being on T for, it's been
2 years.
2 years on T.
And the last time I saw all your side of the family was like 3 years ago, so that was before I started T at Thanksgiving.
But that Thanksgiving, you were already dressing.
Yep.
Representing as male, asking people to do Peter and he.
Yeah. And
they were pretty much down with that.
Yeah, and they were, but I think they got the name mostly right, but I think they were messing up pronouns more often, I think, or there was something about it that I was, you know, not very happy about being there and feeling like people were still seeing me as my old self. Yeah. And not as my real self.
But this past week in Pittsburgh, they saw you as Peter.
Yeah.
Peter. And visited Chad at his house and Mary at her house, and we visited your Aunt Ellen at the cottage.
Yep.
At Lake Erie, and I think almost every time someone said to me as we were leaving, gosh, Peter really is comfortable with his male persona. He's really arrived at a place which is good for him. And did you hear any of those comments, or?
A few, yeah. Like when we were leaving Chad's house, Myrna and their 3 kids all said, you know, we're so happy that you are happy and that you're doing so well, and, you know, like it was a sort of, it wasn't totally vague, but it wasn't really a direct reference to it, but it was obvious that was what they were talking about, but they didn't really say right out.
No.
what they
No,
meant.
and that's,
so that was
that's
really funny, but they...
kind of how Myrna said it to me.
Yeah.
She, as I was leaving, she looked me in the eye and said, "Peter really looks good," and it was, and she meant Peter, not
Yeah.
Tessa, or
Yeah.
Peter in addition to Tessa. Or,
Yeah.
Um,
And then Ellen talked to me, not like the ads we were leaving, but she talked to me more directly while we were visiting and asked me and said at least twice something like, "Man, I'm really digging your energy. This is great."
Yeah, yeah. And she
So-
would. She can find anything in anybody. She finds
Yeah.
the good in all sorts of people. Let me go back to the script. Did you learn anything new about yourself? Hanging with my family this time. An aspect of masculinity I didn't even see in myself, and now that I see reflected in Chad's eyes,
Yeah, I don't know.
see something.
Chad's a funny. He's so macho. That's what I didn't notice. I actually learned more about the other people there, I think, and like it was just so weird to be included as a guy with him in particular, because he seems so gendered and so stereotypically gendered, and it was
he's
really
extreme
weird.
gender.
Yeah.
So this
it was
is why
weird to
I
have
say
him.
on the gender question, when you're filling out a form, it shouldn't be M or F. It should be on a scale of 1 to 10. How much gender do you have? And
Yeah.
Chad would be a 10,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I don't know how much I'd get. I don't even want to guess that.
Yeah.
But
So that was really interesting, of a good example of how I would be treated by a very gendered male.
Yeah,
of
yeah.
Like we're gonna do the slappy handshake.
right, so
and
Chad taught you how to soul shake like a
That was
man,
weird.
and Ellen taught you how to throw like a boy. We
Yeah.
were skipping stones at the lake, and Peter was doing this girly throwness at Ellen, please. You got to teach my son how to throw like a
I'm
boy.
not
so.
I'm not athletic. I never.
Well, yeah. So we both did what we could, and actually, it looked pretty good by the end. At one point, Ellen goes, "Wait, are we trying for performance of the rock here or style?" And I said, "Well, a little bit of both, you know." In one of my posts, I talked about you being a girl who became a man. In another post, in response to a comment, someone said, "He's not a girl that became a man. He's always been a boy in a girl's body, and now a man in a woman's body. But there's and I don't think even the trans community is altogether that clear about this.
No.
There are two sides, or there's two genders, and some people treasure both genders, and some people say, I have never had any more than one gender, and it's male. And from your point of view, which of those do you think fits you?"
Well, I think my gender identity is developed over my life. I think it does for everyone. And as a kid, I didn't have a gender as far as I could perceive. I just didn't care. I didn't notice enough physical difference to care about that. The social differences were minor enough that I didn't care about those, and so my perception of myself up until puberty was genderless. And then when puberty happened, I tried to fit into a feminine gender role, and it really didn't work for me.
Yeah.
And it made me angry and upset, and it made life awful for everyone around me. But I also don't think I had developed a male gender identity at the time. I think it was, I'm trying to be what I'm supposed to be, or what people are treating me like I'm supposed to be, but this is not working for me. And so after a few years, I hit a point where I just went through everything that was not working because I was so unhappy, and I just looked at things one at a time of like, okay, is this something that I actually like, or am I just doing this because this is what I'm supposed to be doing, or what I thought I was supposed to be doing? And basically threw out all the things that didn't work, and one of the things I ran into is I'm not comfortable being a girl. I'm not comfortable with people perceiving me that way because it doesn't work. And I wasn't comfortable with my body. I was angry at my body since puberty. And I realized, okay, if I were in a male body, this would be working a lot better for me. And I'd be more comfortable with my less gendered male identity, and more comfortable with being a person who is comfortably a man who is willing to express things that are considered feminine.
Yeah.
So that's where I am now, is I'm a guy, I'm comfortable being a guy, I'm happy being a guy, and because my body is more in line with that and because people perceive me that way, I'm a lot more comfortable being myself.
Yeah.
And being
yeah.
able to express the things that would be considered girly without, you know, it being compromising to my gender identity.
The only thing I miss about you being a girl was being a girl who was fearless in, you know, you were not a stereotypical girl.
Yeah.
And there's one regret, it's that you couldn't become a totally unconventional woman.
Yeah. That has occurred to me, is it's too bad that I couldn't be that, but I'm not that.
Yeah. Well, and there
so
you
someone
are.
else is going to have to be.
Someone else. And, you know, for
Instead,
unconventional, you've got your share of unconventional.
Yeah,
so
instead
it's,
I'm doing as much to be, like, the poster boy for trans people as possible. Like, there are a lot of people who definitely want to be stealth, who don't want people knowing they're trans. And I want people to know. I mean, it's a really weird thing that I didn't expect until after I realized how much I pass as a cis male, of being like, I'd rather... I want to be out to as many people as possible and make them aware that, hey, you know a trans person, and they're, well, not normal, but
well,
I'm an unusual person anyway, but as normal as they could expect. And I like it when people meet me, and I know I'm going to see them more than once, and so I talk with them for a little while, and they obviously assume I'm just a cis male, and then I get the chance to be like, by the way, I'm transgender, and have them go, oh, wow.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So,
you know, and being out is so important, and the first video that I put on this channel was to thank the guys who have been posting videos, who have been telling their story, being out. So thanks for answering a few questions, getting on this channel.
Yeah.
And we'll talk to you guys later.